Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video, and today is time for my weekly wrap-up slash books that I've read the week before that as well, because I didn't do a weekly wrap-up last weekend because I was very busy being at the fantasy festival in Esbjerg, and so didn't have time to film a weekly wrap-up. But I'll leave a link to my fantasy festival vlog in the cards up here, so you can check it out if you haven't already. I had a lot of fun, and I met Sebastian de Castell and Patricia Briggs, who are both really nice authors, and they had some really interesting readings and stuff like that. And yeah, so today I have a total of 5 different books to talk about, so let's get into them. The first book I finished was back last week, was My Plain Jane by Cynthia, Brodi, Ashton and Jodi Meadows. These 3 girls, they started writing the Lady Janies series, and they released the first book, My Lady Jane, back in 2016, I think. And I really loved the first one, My Lady Jane. I thought it was really humorous. The first one was about, I think it was Lady Jane Grey, who became queen and for like a week and then died. So yeah, and they took a retelling of that and what happened and made it into their own story with a lot more fantasy magical elements, and it was a whole lot of fun. So I was really looking forward to reading this one, which is a Jane Eyre retelling, and I enjoyed being back in the world, and I thought the humor was pretty good, but it didn't capture me the same way that the first one did. I think even if I did find it funny that I knew all of these characters because I read Jane Eyre earlier this year, so I had a lot of knowledge about that book beforehand. In this version, Charlotte Bronte was one of the characters in the book, and which was a little strange, but yeah, she was kind of a decent character, but yeah, I enjoyed it mostly, but it wasn't as good as the other one, so I ended up on a 3 out of 5 stars for this one. The next one I finished was The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, I think that's how you say it, which is contemporary, YA contemporary that deals with, that is also a sort of a poetry, half contemporary novel, half poetry thing. So it's features a lot of poems, and she's a poet, does poetry slam and stuff like that. And it follows this girl who is has been brought up in a really religious home and how she's dealing with things, and it was really enjoyable. I thought that the characters were very interesting, and I really enjoyed the story, and I would have liked to have a physical or an ebook copy of the book alongside with me so I could see the poems as they were read, because I think I missed a little bit in that. But it was a really fast read, and I read it in a very, very short time. It was like a 2-hour audio or something like that, 1 hour and 45 minutes. Even though the book is pretty large, but that's because of all of the poems. And I really enjoyed it, and I end up on a 4 out of 5 stars, one of the better contemporary books that I've read this past year. The next thing that I finished, actually I finished 3 things yesterday, but I think I finished this one first. So that was Side Jobs by Jim Butcher. This is a collection of short stories in the Dresden Files universe, where you can read all of them after you've read book 12, which is Changes. So the last and final story in this one is called 12.1 and is happening immediately after what happens in Changes. And yeah, I really enjoyed this collection. I thought that it was nice seeing Jim Butcher writing in a short fiction form, which I hadn't seen before, obviously. And I just highly enjoyed this. There was a lot of really great stories in here, a lot of funny ones, and just some of them, I mean, I enjoyed the Dresden File universe, so it wasn't a big surprise to me, but I did really enjoy those 2 stories that were from Thomas and Mercy's point of view. Both of them were 5 stars, without a doubt. I thought that they were really interesting, seeing things from their perspective for once, because all of the Dresden File books are seen from Harry's perspective. And yeah, this collection was narrated by James Masters, who I continue to absolutely adore when it comes to narrating audiobooks. And I end up on a 5 out of 5 stars for this collection. I will do a full review of each of the stories as I did with Night Shift, and we'll have it on my Goodreads at some point. So look after that if you're interested. The next thing that I finished yesterday was City of Dragons by Robin Hobb, which is the third installment in the Rainwild Chronicles, which is the fourth series set in the realm of the Elderlings universe. I have really enjoyed all of this universe as a whole, but this particular series has been sort of mediocre for me in terms of all of it. Like, the characters I really enjoy. I think the character dynamics are mostly really great. And I enjoy getting to know a lot more about the dragons, the Rainwilds, and all of that good stuff. The only thing that I had with the other one, like the one before, was like, it was just turning into a soap opera thing with all of the different relationships that had to happen, to like romantic relationships, which is so unusual for Robin Hobb, I think. But this one is definitely my favorite in the trilogy so far. I think that she really handled a lot of the conflicts really well, and I like seeing some of the Liveship Trader characters showing up in this one as well. They haven't been very much present in the previous one, and I really enjoyed that part of it. And yeah, all of the characters really developed in a nice way, and I'm very eager to see what will happen in the last and final book in the series. To end up on a 4.5 out of 5 stars for this particular book, and very, very much recommend this series now. I mean, I recommend all of Robin Hobb's books, even those that are sort of mediocre. They still have a lot of things to offer in terms of writing, in terms of characters, and you have so many things that you find in these books that are just amazing. The last and final book that I read this past couple of weeks, and I finished yesterday, was Beartown by Fredrick, Backman, or Bjørneby, which is the Danish title. This is a book that's been translated from Swedish into Danish, and it follows this very small town called Beartown, Bjørneby, who are completely obsessed about hockey. Hockey is the only thing that runs this town, even though the town is on a brink of a failure and just completely going bankrupt. They still believe that they have to put money into the hockey team, and this hockey team will be the next big thing in Beartown that they can be really proud of. And so this follows a bunch of different characters in Beartown. Mostly it follows the players from the team, but it also follows the coach, and it follows parents a lot, and it follows one of the main figures of surrounding this team, his family, and it revolves around, as things happen, this girl is raped, and when she tells people about it, no one really seems to believe her story, and they don't believe that the hockey player would ever be able to do that thing. And so this is how the town handles this crisis, and they decide to not care about the girl and go for the hockey player, and because to save the hockey team. And I enjoyed a huge chunk of this. I enjoyed the character building. I enjoyed, there was a lot of great things and great moments. It was really dark in places and really difficult to read. But there was also just something that just lacked for me. I have never been so conflicted about a rating that I have been with this one, because I really still not completely sure what to rate it. The ending I did not agree with. I hated the ending, and I think there was a lot of foreshadowing in the last chapter, which I found really weird, and a really weird way of ending this. Yeah, I can't say much about the ending without spoiling things, so I'm not gonna, but I just didn't really like that one. And this is the third Backman book that I've read. One of them was non-fiction, the other one was A Man Called Uber, and in terms of plot and how it was woven together, I thought that A Man Called Uwe was better. But in terms of characters and how obsessed I was with some of them, at least, this one had a higher rating. So I don't know if I'm sort of falling on the same place as A Man Called Uwe, around 4 stars. But because I definitely still think that it deserves a really high rating, because there was a lot of really great things and it had a really interesting topic. However, there were some parts of the topic that I didn't understand why. Yeah, I am really conflicted about this one. Let me know what you thought and how you decided to rate it. I mean, I know that a lot of people just loves this and gave it 5 stars, no questions asked, and I can sort of see why. I'm really unsure about this one, but I'm happy I read it, and I will go think about things before I do an official rating, but as it stands now, it's around a 4 stars to a high 4 stars. So yeah, I don't know. Now let's get into the things that I've been sort of working on over the past couple of weeks and what I'm planning on working on in this weekend. First up, I have been reading in Frostburn by Patricia Briggs, which is the 7th book in the Mercy Thompson series. And this follows Mercy Thompson, who is a coyote walker, and things has happened in the werewolf pack that she has to do some investigation. She is trying to protect them in a way, and I can't really say much about it. I'm really enjoying it. I am enjoying it a lot, and especially the past couple of chapters has been really interesting, and it's following some of my favorite characters, like Ben and Kyle is a big part of this book, and I really like that. So, and the other one that I've been listening to after I need to finish is School for Good and Evil by Somain Chainani, and at this point I'm not sure what I think of it. It's interesting in ways, but I'm not loving it, but it's going pretty quickly of the audio. I read about 70 pages an hour, so that's okay. I'm on page 190 out of, I think, 400 and something. Almost 500 pages, so I'm about a third of the way through it. I will keep listening to this over the weekend as I do things around home, so we'll see how much I get through it. But this is that book. Finally, over the past couple of weeks, I've also been making some progress in Stephen King's The Dead Zone, which I've been enjoying. It's not scary in the same way that his other stories are, I think. It's more like a lot of character studies, and yeah, the main character can sort of see things that will happen in the future, like visions of some kind, and it's kind of interesting, but it's not scary. He's not like a dangerous person so far, at least, but I mean, things can change, but I'm really impressed with this so far. I have never really heard of it before, and I don't understand why exactly, because I think it's really good. So yeah, I am enjoying this one and keep picking it up over the weekends when I feel like I have some time. Then I read like 50 pages here and there, and I am currently on page 175. So I have about 200 pages left or something like that. But enjoying it so far. Over the next week, I'm hoping I can start on Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I think or maybe I'm going to postpone this to October. I was going to be body reading this with Becky from Beck's Books, and I still think we're going to do that, but my biggest problem is I haven't, I had an audio down from Overdrive, but it expired, so I had to put a hold on it again to see, and there's like 2 holes on it, but there's 2 copies, so we'll see when I get it, and I'll read it then, because I think I'm gonna do the audio version and get through it like that. And those are my sort of plans for the next weekend and week or so, and we'll see what I end up reading. I've also started on a couple of, I've been reading from so many different books, so I decided to focus on 1 or 2 books at a time and see how that will go, and finish those and then move on to the next ones that I have. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you've been reading recently. Have you read any of the books that I've been talking about today, and what were your thoughts on them? Also, let me know if you have any interesting recommendations to me. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye!